Hey, Northern Corruption Monitor. Hey, John Conley. Figured I'd record the guys because they don't take a minute of a break even on the weekends. And to me, it's hilarious. This is them just goofing off, playing around to get a bonfire going. They're only going to burn the stuff that can't be chopped up into actual good logs for people to buy to do their own campsite fires and whatnot. So pretty much brush and other bits of logs and whatever they don't feel like splitting.
It's not easy, you know. They got the first time.
You're a goof. Jackie boy! Come running up behind you.
Did you get it?
I was live.
That was impressive.
I'm live. What are you talking about?
That was impressive, right?
Sure. You rolled it.
From behind a pile first.
I know.
That wasn't fun. No, you can't go on my truck, dog.
This is kind of their workshop and storage area that they're going to be turning that building there that we see right there. It's an old schoolhouse that's run down. They're actually going to fix it up like new and turn it into a museum on one floor and a like a recreational hall that people can rent out on another floor. But I figured I'd just let everybody see just how hard these guys work. That they don't even take time on weekends to have fun. Instead, they are still working in order to have fun. But I'm going to end the stream for now. I need to record some other things that need to be recorded static. We're going to be playing with our BB guns and knives. I might wait and stay live a little longer and just see how big this fire is going to be when they light it. Hey, fuck the police. Man, at the rally today, had a Karen fucking following us around, trying to see if we would, how do I say it, act crazy or anything when she starts taking pictures of us and taking pictures of our truck when we go to leave. And I just looked at her and was like, hey, that's your right. I'm in public. And she just got super pissed. I think she was hoping for a reaction. I think she was a bootlicker. Or undercover. Anybody can jump up on the panel if they feel like it. We have not had a whole lot of rain until yesterday. And of course, they've already sprayed the ground around the pile so that way nothing spreads further to the other piles.
Shut up.
What up?
What up, Stephanie?
I'm
What
just waiting
did
to see. I'm just waiting to see how big this bonfire is going to be.
Oh, you're starting a bonfire?
Yeah.
Say something about lighting all the wood on fire?
No,
Food.
we'll make sure all the other piles don't get caught on fire. But yeah.
Oh. You got water there?
Hey, Don. Yeah, we've got hoses and stuff. I mean, it's a working shop where I'm at in the back of the property.
We should have took all that extra wood and placed it throughout the city and then let the protesters come by and pick it up.
They wouldn't have had our protests. That's the one thing about I could say about Kalamazoo is they're actually very peaceful. We didn't even see any cops whatsoever. They stayed at the edge of the perimeter to make sure the roads were blocked off for us to walk.
Yeah, we're kind of the same red state. Very red. They're like for cops. They're not anti-cops. Like we're having a rally for the police, so we have to show up.
I think they were showing their respect because it was George Floyd's family that was there.
In Michigan there?
Yeah, they were in Kalamazoo today. It's been all over the news. I recorded it live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and his best friend is an ex-NBA player. He was here speaking on, behalf of the family and whatnot.
Do you remember what his name was?
Steven something.
Steven. That's cool. Cool. I'd like to. Yeah, that's.
I don't follow sports, so.
I do. I like basketball, right?
I like hockey.
The first half of everything you've seen was me with the Scottie Pippen jersey behind me, so.
Yeah.
That was my favorite play.
I really like their speeches. They weren't about just Black Lives Matter. It was about all lives matter. All races, all creeds. It didn't matter. They loved everyone. And that was a message that they wanted to get out.
Well, no, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon because at this point, and I hate to say this, Stephanie, but the way I see it is your lives don't matter if you wear sheets, ride on horses,
right.
And
I totally agree.
If they can't respect history, then I'm proud of the movement. I'm proud of what they're bringing as strength, and I guarantee you, they can do more than what I, as one person, could ever get done on YouTube. So I feel like my job is like half done, right, on YouTube, or it's like almost all the way done. I feel like FTP is already, it's like it's outlived its infancy. Everything.
Mine never will. I'm only about the whole everybody's accountability, but government accountability the most.
Yeah.
And that will never end.
And I don't know if that will ever happen, right? See, that's the
right.
Point. So, but in order for it to actually, for someone to actually change that, we're going to have a lot of firings, a lot of rehirings, a lot of people coming in and going out. There's going to have to be a high turnover in that business, which there hasn't been historically. So
right. See, and they were talking about not the whole defunding the police. They were talking more about hold them more accountable, which is what needs to happen anyway.
Sure.
Because a lot of times we're not even supposed to have gypsy cops in Michigan anymore. That was banned a while ago to where they made it an actual law that passed with legislation that cops cannot just go from one district to another or one department to another. Their history will follow them, and if they have a bad report on it, then they will not be hired by the next.
That's a good thought. See, every time I ever did a report or a excessive use of force report, I honestly, the worst one that I heard about was the dude that came from Mexico after tasing someone with a medical having seizures in Mexico, coming in New Mexico. I shouldn't say Mexico, but I should say New Mexico. I'm not good with my states, but so he got through tasing someone that had seizures and was in a car and must have had a seizure while driving. And by the time he got the person pulled over, and the kid was bouncing around the vehicle trying to help the dad. And next thing you know, the cop came up and started tasing him and just kept tasing him and tasing him and tasing him until he eventually died. Well, that officer somehow ended up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I don't know how that happened, but that to me was the biggest, most egregious thing that could have happened, because what's the disciplinary action if they just move from one department to the next?
Right. They're never held accountable, and therefore they think that they can still do no wrong ever. And they'll just keep doing the same shit.
Right. And the only reason that they did anything to these three, which is scary, right? So they do something to 3 cops this time, maybe. We don't even know, because we've seen to where O.J. Simpson's walked. So what's to say these 3 cops don't get juries that say, oh, not guilty all the way across?
Right.
Then what would we be right back to? We'd be right back to square one again. I hope. I mean, I hope for this. Our courts need to be overhauled for some reason as well. It's all
definitely
from the top to the bottom. It's not. You can't just stop in any one particular area. It's they have been using our money.
Even in my small little rural town, I mean, like literally my little town that I live in doesn't even have a stoplight. But our county, I've sat in their courtrooms before, just watching other cases and stuff, and the judges are not fair between cases, and they're supposed to be. I mean, one woman had failed drug court too many times, had was put into everyday classes, and then was caught selling her prescription drugs outside the freaking meetings. And she barely got like 2 months in jail.
There's no accountability. That's why reform in the prisons and the justice system, not the justice system, but the prisons, it has to be, we don't incarcerate a third and send them all to prison. I know what you're saying.
Right.
But
well, I mean, and this was a woman too. I mean, the judge was a woman, but also the one that was selling her meds was a woman. But yet, the very next person up after her was a first-time offense drug case, and it was a guy, and had nothing in his history for like, I think they said something like 20 years, and he got 2 years in jail.
Right, through the book at him, because guys can do the time and girls can't. And for some reason, and I know I'm talking to a lady, right? But I'm gonna say girls get let off easy. They can't do the time, or so they think. The same as the men. They think the men are just of it. We're tolerant of it to a point. We don't mind paying the price, taking up a cell, or going about our life, no matter where it's at. You're going to make the best of it, whether it's in jail or out or in prison or whatever. I've seen.
Right. Well, I mean, I've only spent one night in jail, but
it was
as
hell.
for my
It was hell, wasn't it?
Well, I had to be in one of the dirtiest jails that we had. I mean, that jail's not even here anymore. It was tore down a year later. But and they stuck us all in the holding cell for drunks because they didn't have any female officers working that night. But I mean, I did the one night for a crime I didn't commit, And even when I went to court, my mom stood up in court and said that I didn't do anything. And the judge, because she knew my last name from my dad, said, well, she's going to find me guilty anyway. And I needed to fix my family. And yeah, I got a year of probation, anger management, and even the instructor for the anger management was like, I mean, he does a little 5-minute introduction of everybody. He ended up taking the whole hour on my case alone, and he was like, if I could sign off on this right now, you do not need to fucking be here.
Right, exactly. See, their whole reasoning and reform, there is no reform. Let's just be honest. It's a joke, and it will always be a joke.
You got my gun?
What?
You got my gun?
It's in your case, isn't it?
Yes, where?
I used to. I didn't know you had it. They want to put it together yesterday. Remember? I got everything else. I didn't know yours was that.
But yeah,
that fire's.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna get pretty big. No, like I ended up staying with my grandma. I mean, I had just graduated high school. I mean, within a month and a half from when I graduated. So I had stayed with my grandma while I, figured out which school I wanted to go to and apply. Well, because of the probation, if my mom come over to see my grandmother, which was all the time, I had to leave my own house. And that shit came back as spousal abuse, not even domestic violence.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Right? I mean, she stood up in court and said she never physically touched me, and it breaks my heart.
Right, and they pursued the charges anyways, correct?
Yep.
Exact. I've seen that. Okay, that's not the first time I've seen that happen with.
It was my first time offense on anything. Like, I'd never been in trouble before.
Even if your mom,
because of my last name, they threw the book at me.
Well, exactly. Well, see, you're not saying anything that I haven't said on my show, or where my brother wouldn't back you up and say it's a last name thing, because of your last name and because of your family, because of your extended family, because of your history. And here's what I don't understand about that. We have to all live like immigrants. We have to all live like slaves. We have to
disassociate ourselves from our family just so that doesn't happen.
Oh, correct. I'm to the point now where, I mean, Stephanie, this is serious because it's like I feel like I need to leave my family so that they remain safe, because none of them have records.
And
how does that happen?
When she looked at me and said I needed to fix my family, I was always taught that you are respectful in court and you don't open your mouth unless you're asked a question. But I wanted to scream out so bad, I am the child. I am not the one that should be fixing the family.
Correct. You're 18, right?
Yeah, I'm just barely 18.
Right. That's unexcusable. I mean,
and if my video ever finishes processing, because it was an hour and a half long.
This is how we get on this long journey.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't like my first run-in with police. I mean, like I said, my dad was well known. We practically moved once every 2 years just to stay ahead of the game because he was constantly harassed by police.
And I've heard, yeah, that's exactly us. It was.
I remember waking up at like 5 years old, having a bunch of police in the house searching our entire house with dogs and stuff because of my uncle.
Now, Jordan, into Tombo's pieces. What's this all like into a Tombo's?
I've also had like where I've opened the door, and because of the way the officers were holding their guns, I had a bunch of guns in my face at 5, 6 years old.
So PC found that just takes a long time. You don't want to be agent. So if the dog
that has been the same. With them in my life, consistently, in my brother's life, consistently. I've heard other people that got harassed from a very young age, to where they'll pull him out of the vehicle at gunpoint every time. Once
They
they know,
almost do my fiance every time like that.
yeah, and your heart literally it breaks. Why does he deserve that? And at the end of the day, when they're pulling a gun on him, I here's what I can't figure out. My family's never been really in the vehicle to watch this all transpire for the most part. I did once she was. And I know that she can see the switch flip, but I also know I was kind of having a tiff with her too, because I was unhappy that she was speaking to the law enforcement. But at the same time, the guy was standing there with the gun less than a foot from my door. I can't even get out.
My fiance, he has a habit of, he's too friendly to everybody. So he'll sit there and have conversation with cops after conversation after conversation. It's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
And he's had a history of certain crimes and whatnot. Like, he had a period of time where he lived on the street because he had nowhere else to go, and he would break into abandoned garages and sleep for the winter. And so he got a bunch of breaking and enterings before he was 18. And yet he still doesn't shut up to the police.
Yeah. Well, and who can...
He's learning, though. He's finally starting to record when I'm not in the car and stuff.
Yeah, you have to get him on board with that, because that's, like Stephanie, think about this. The one time I didn't have my camera on, I walked into the tow company, and next thing you know, less than 5 minutes went by, they called the cops on me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, within 5 minutes, it got that bad. And then it got escalated to where a baseball bat involved. And it got involved to, I left their property. I went across the street. But it doesn't fucking matter. Now I'm charged with a felony. These fucking people.
Well, in our area, we have one cop that every time he sees our vehicle, it doesn't matter which vehicle we're in, he will pull it over. And there was a period of like 2 months where he would wait at the end of our street to see which way we'd pull out in the morning, just to make sure he could pull us over every day.
Check this out, Stephanie.
He lives less than a mile from our house.
This Mustang that I own, I had a friend. He told me what to do. And I've also, when I first got online, the first thing I got into was contract law. And I'm like, what the is contract law? And he's like, well, call me up. I'll explain it to you. So I listened to him for about an hour to 2 hours on kind of what he said. He said, well, what you have to do is you throw all of your pieces of paper. You sell all of your vehicles. And he's like, that's how you win, through contract law. Once you realize that everything they have on you, they're using against you as far as your vehicles, they're targeting your vehicles.
Right.
Targeting your plates. They're targeting you, your social security numbers, your cards in your wallet. They have chips embedded in them. They can tell where they're at, where you're spending money. And I think the guy's point, I didn't take everything he said and run with it, but I learned. What I did was I won't stick a car in my name anymore. And with that Mustang, I sold it like half a week ago or a week. I'm not gonna have a car that's in my name. I'm not gonna pay insurance for something. It just isn't gonna happen.
I just don't like being in cars. I mean, my name is on all of our vehicles, and insurance is in my name. I'm a great driver. I have absolutely no tickets in my past whatsoever. But I've been in way too many car accidents as a passenger.
Yeah.
I mean, 27 car accidents and only 2 driving. 90% of those were before I was even in high school.
Wow. Yeah, I think I've been
6 school bus accidents before high school too.
Over 30 or 40. And I think that's see, when you say amoxophobia, I think just driving phobia. It becomes too much.
I can drive just fine. I don't panic when I'm driving. I'm panicking if somebody else drives. It's literally a fear of having no control in a car.
Right. And that's my wife also. That was her.
And you can usually tell when somebody has it because if they're in a car, they're doing that side seat driver, but they have no control over it, so they're almost panicking, going, slow down, don't get too close, watch out for that.
Yep, that's what.
And it sucks because it can actually cause an accident just by doing that. And
once
you don't have control over it.
Once you start getting hit, or once you start yelling at the wrong time in a very, very busy city, I mean, and going down all them curves. I mean, you can't just quit halfway down the mountain and go, okay, I'm just going to pull over. There's nowhere to pull over. There's no shoulders.
See, I'm usually fine. Like summertime, I'm fine. I'm even great in the rain. It's wintertime is my worst.
Oh yeah, you should never be driving in the winter. I put mine.
I don't. I absolutely do not drive in the winter, and if at all possible, I don't even leave my house in the winter unless the roads are absolutely dry.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't. We gotta.
I can't. I'll panic just before I get to the stop sign, and that's 5 houses down from me.
Yeah,
if I get into thick traffic where it's too much for me, and I'm not driving, I will literally have on a hooded sweatshirt, put the hood up. I'll put on headphones and listen to anything I can, just distract myself and not look up, because I will panic just from traffic being too thick.
Yeah, I think that's what my wife should do too. But at the same time, I enjoy that pass. 4 sets of eyes are better than 2.
But I know I'll panic. I'm not any help to him when I get like that.
Well, no, not when you're. See, that's the thing. I like the navigation point of it.
Well, yeah, I still do the navigation. That's why I put in headphones, so I can still tell him which directions to go. But I'll pop in a YouTube video at the same time, so I can listen to something and still tell him where to go.
Yeah. So how would you say his driving is then?
I hate everybody's driving.
I hear you. The only reason I asked that is, I mean, mine is not the greatest. If you looked at my rap sheet or how many speeding, reckless.
Oh no, he's great with driving. I mean, he's a master at freaking backing anything up, trailers, whatever. Because they do 3,000 plus pounds of logs every day.
Right.
So he has no problem with that. It's when I'm in a car with him, I feel that things are, how do I put it? I don't feel that people multitask very well when driving, and it pisses me off.
Well, think about how many people are on their cell phones. Think about how many people are not paying attention while they're driving. The first person I got hit by, someone was eating, and their whole hit the front windshield when they hit the back end of us. So, and I can other parts where they've went 3 lanes over, turned in front of me, slammed on their brakes, and my little Geo Metro went underneath their Toyota Tacoma. And you know what's funny about that is the cop gave me a fucking ticket for him going across 3 lanes, no blinker,
right,
slamming on his brakes.
See, one of my main accidents, the very first one with me driving, I was actually pregnant with the oldest. I'm in a turn lane coming up to a red light, so I'm not even doing 10 miles an hour. It's 5 o'clock traffic on a Friday. So this lady pulls out of the bank across 2 lanes of traffic to go the opposite way that I'm going. Doesn't see me in the turn lane, and I hit right behind her driver's side door. There was no stopping it because of all the traffic. There's no way to get around it. Luckily, it wasn't too bad of an impact because I was going so slow.
Right.
But I'd hit my steering wheel because it was just a little Chevy S10. I was 7 months pregnant. So I went into labor early and had to stay at the hospital overnight.
Ow. Ooh, that's not good. How far along were you?
7 months.
You had a fire, you should be all right.
Yeah, that's early. Wow.
Yeah.
Look, did the insurance company have to pay for that or no?
Hers did.
How much was the payout?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. I'm just saying, Stephanie.
I was so young at the time. I was more worried about the pregnancy than anything.
Correct. A lot of my buddies, one buddy in particular, he literally will not settle anymore. He's sick of people running
Well,
in.
my truck had no damage. I was just glad she covered the hospital part.
Yeah.
My truck was just an old work truck, so it looked like it just kind of went brrr and just kind of shook off all the rust around it in a big ring.
Right.
I still drove that truck for another 3 years after that.
But these insurance companies are extremely good, and this is why this is a whole nother.
Yeah, our insurance sucks in Michigan. We have the highest in the nation.
Ours is like the lowest, I think.
Hell, just for PLPD, it's like $130 a month.
130?
Uh-huh.
Well, so what are your insurance rates right now?
For me, because I'm such a good driver and I go paperless and all this other crap, I think it's just about $111 for PLPD.
Okay, you want to hear how much I pay? $230 a month.
That's what we paid for full coverage on a brand new car.
I got full comp collision, but it's on a 2009.
Well, see, they're supposed to be changing ours starting this year. It's supposed to go down to like $50 per month for PLPD. Anything over that, and it's just profit on the insurer's part, or on the insurance agent part. So they're actually trying to fix that for us because we've always had no fault insurance. Well, it doesn't matter if it's no fault insurance. Whose ever fault it was, they're the ones stuck with the bill for both cars.
Yeah, Minnesota's weird like that too. I forget how it is. You pay your own. You pay for your own stuff or your own damages. It's weird.
That's how it's supposed to be. But they in December, the accident my old man got in with my dad, they hit the only freaking road that hadn't been salted. And it's a curvy road. Well, he's going with the flow of traffic. Everybody's doing about 10 under speed limit. No big deal. Well, he hits a patch of ice. The lady coming at him hits a patch of ice. They kind of start spinning out and spin into each other.
Oh, that sucks.
We got hit with their car's bill.
What? They have a brand new car
and a ticket.
Hitting a Jaguar. You don't want to do
that.
No,
they just had a little SUV, but nobody was injured in their car. They hit so hard in my car that the driver's seat was broken, and he was actually in the back seat and doesn't know how he got into the back seat. And my dad had his seat broken to where it fell backwards, and he broke his neck. Then they didn't even try. His door would not open. They didn't try and saw his door open or anything. They asked him to climb out the car to the driver's seat.
What the flip?
With a broken neck, no brace on.
That's a cop for you. They think
no. That was the paramedic.
Listen, Stephanie. They think that everybody's playing. Like, even when I got in a bad accident with my wife, I was like, dude, you need to help her. You need to open her door. I mean, it doesn't open.
My dad was a firefighter in the Air Force. He knew his neck was broken, and he told the paramedics, he goes, I know my neck is broken. And they asked him to climb out anyway, with no brace.
That's ridiculous. Well, that's,
And he got back to work right before COVID hit.
The problem is too many people play the game of, oh my God, my neck hurts. And
they knew his was broken. They knew as soon as they grabbed a hold of him, they knew.
And they still told him he had to climb out.
Yep.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
I ended up filing complaints against them and against the officer that ended up showing up to help, because he was just an asshole to everybody. He didn't care if anybody was hurt or not. He didn't ask if anybody was okay or if anybody was hurt. He was just a flat out prick to everybody.
No, exactly. I know exactly how it is. They'll go to their room. I mean, all I can say is I can only be as truthful as I can be. Okay, the light was red. The best of my recollection, it was yellow when I went through.
Right, and see, with us, they said it was we were driving too fast for the conditions on the only road that wasn't salted. But if we were going any faster, he would have hit the car. They would have hit the car in front of them. If he was going any slower, he would have been hit in the ass by the car that was behind him, because there was at least 5 cars in his lane, and he was just going with the flow of traffic. So how is he not doing the right speeds for the traffic?
All I can possibly tell you is crawl all winter long. Go 2 miles an hour everywhere you go when it's icy out, and you never know when you're gonna hit that one patch of ice that sneaks
I
up.
know.
And these
At the very end of not this last winter, but the winter before. I mean, the very tail end, we had a freak winter storm, and there was a bunch of black ice everywhere. And they were telling people to stay off the roads. Well, it hit when we were already out and about, and we come around the last curve of a main dragway before we get to our road, and we hit that patch of ice, and we start fishtailing. And he actually kept our truck under control until it hit a second patch of really thick ice, and we just kind of ass end went from one side to the other because we were carrying a heavy load. We had an empty fridge in the back, and so we kind of slid sideways and down into the ditch. Nothing else happened; just kind of slid down into the ditch because of all the slushy snow right there. And it just took us a minute to get back out, but we didn't get a ticket for that.
right.
Even though, I mean, we weren't as bad as some. I mean, just as we had that happen, the car that had been behind us about not even half a mile back had rolled over.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got really lucky. And that was the one time I didn't panic because I felt him trying to keep the truck under control. And he was so under control that I didn't panic. Like, I got out of the car and I'm like, look, I'm not shaking. I didn't panic. Like, I actually didn't panic for once. Like, I was so excited.
Well, I don't even worry. I mean, the wife would describe it as PTSD. Almost like when you drive with someone, and I drive the way it takes a lot of skill. People are going fast, people are going slow, people are fucking around you, motorcycles are doing stuff, you're throwing shit between cars, things get
I'm fine on a motorcycle. I'm fine on an airplane. It's only cars that I have a problem with.
Well, and people don't drive like a Prius, right? These people will get right up on your ass all the time. It's like,
oh yeah,
fucking kidding me, dude.
That's why we do most of our driving at night. Like when we went down to North Carolina and back, we always drive at night. Way less traffic.
Right. That's a lot.
And the only time I started panicking was when we got to, I think we had just crossed into Tennessee, and it was fog so thick that you couldn't see 5 feet in front of the truck. I was like, yeah, we're stopping for the night. I'm not driving through this shit.
Yep, I would have stopped too.
I couldn't do it. I was like, he calls it my squeaking, but I'm like, every time a car even comes close to us.
Right. Well, you don't know which one's going to be stopped in front of you.
Right. And with that much, thick fog to where you can't see anything, but you're still in the mountains. Yeah, wasn't doing it.
Yeah, not good. Not good. Guys, I'd like to think that North Carolina.
I've never heard it.
It was bad. It was about the same spot. Once all the hills started, then it was a little crazy. I remember, what was it? Oh, Sturgis, and it was in South Dakota.
Which Sturgis? We have a Sturgis too.
We get into fog around here, but of course the day I took my Sturgis trip, but I just kept the throttle and, well, if something bad happens, something bad happens. I'm not quitting and I'm not stopping it. I'm not getting scared, but it was really thick. And I was like, what the flip? But all the low line areas, once you get out of them or once it later in the day, then it quits fogging.
Yeah. Well, it's like on the way down to North Carolina, out of the 5 states we hit, 4 of them had heavy, heavy rain. I was fine through all that.
Horrible. Rain sucks.
I like thunderstorms, so I don't tend to panic in rain. I find thunderstorms to be very calming.
Oh, thunderstorms are awesome, right? It's all about the power of them. And
yeah. So I don't tend to panic. I mean, I've hydroplaned plenty of times as a passenger in a car, and I've never once panicked from it.
Yeah, it's not. I've never known a car to flip or go completely out of control, but that's all about the driver.
Ours did. We were going around a curve when we hydroplaned, and we spun 3 times. It ended up facing the right direction, but in the wrong lane.
Yeah, it's all about slowing down when it starts
Yep.
raining. Oh well. Is that fire still going?
Oh yeah.
There it is. It's raging. All right, that's a good fire, dude. I'd throw some more on it. No.
Yeah, on the way home from the rally, we stopped to see if a couple of stores maybe had the engine I need for my mini bike. Because it's street legal in my county, so I ride it everywhere. And nobody had it, of course, because of all the COVID. Nobody's actually getting all their deliveries.
You got a little
And
dirt, but
it's a mini Baja.
I do not know what kind. What size engine?
It's got a 212cc 4-shaft, just a little like a Predator.
That's like perfect.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound too bad.
It doesn't go fast enough for our back roads, so I have to change up the gear ratio to speed it up a little.
Right.
But it's pretty much street legal. I can almost get it classified as a motorcycle, but recently they changed the laws on that, and they won't let OTV vehicles no longer become assembled vehicles to get a motorcycle license.
Yeah, I have a motorcycle license, but what's funny is I would almost prefer a little scooter, believe it or not.
Well, this is a little Baja, so it's got like the big fat back tire and a little bit wider front tire.
Like a dirt bike? Or no?
Bigger than a dirt bike. I mean, it's a fat back tire.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good 4 to 6 inches. If you looked up, if you actually looked up Mini Baja, and there's like 3 different versions of it, but yeah, just the Mini Baja MB200.
Oh, I wish I could look it up right now, but I know if I click on it, it'll boot me out of the call.
Yeah, it's a good little bike. We bought it for my oldest when he was 13. So it's all over my Facebook and stuff with him opening up his gift and riding it around. But as he kind of got older and didn't want to ride it anymore, I'm the only one that's short enough to still ride it. So I'm like, hey, it's mine. It's comfy to ride.
They can enter if they want to. Just nobody has yet. Why the intrigue? Have the kids called you yet? I gotta make sure I can call. Let me see if I can see. I don't think so. Of course, I don't know because I am on live stream, so they could be texting and calling, and I would never know. No, I think their movies go longer than that. They went downtown to a park to watch a movie.
Oh, we get that here in the summertime where people can go to the park and watch movies. I doubt they'll do it this year. They've already canceled all of our festivals.
Dude, I walked into Menards, and them fuckers straight up told me I needed a mask or I needed to leave. And you know what they said after that? They're like, we have them for sale.
Yeah.
I said, are you kidding me? I said, no, dude, I'll just go back out to my car and grab my mask. And I'll find
I keep one in my purse just in case I have to put one on. But Michigan just kind of put out a new order for Monday, and this upcoming Monday, where if you are in public and you are inside, you now have to wear a mask. And the governor is asking the police and the stores to strictly enforce it.
Oh my God, it's getting worse, bro.
Luckily, my sheriff is a constitutionalist in my county, and he is like, I am not enforcing this. It's against the Constitution, and he will not be violating anybody. But violators do get a $500 fine.
500?
It was 1,000 at the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This all just money generating revenue bullshit.
Well, even the president was talking about my governor. I mean, my governor sucks ass. She's already talking about going back down in steps from going forward in steps towards going back to normal.
Have you heard anybody say that they love their government?
My sister keeps saying how much she loves our governor, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Who says that?
My sister.
Oh. There's a
sister. Okay, I have one sister who's very much a Democrat, and that's why she likes our governor because she's a Democrat. And she fought for us to have our rights to being able to have birth control and whatnot. That's fine and dandy. That doesn't make her any better for this pandemic.
no. Yeah, better off now.
And then my other sister works for the damn police in the next county over. I'm like, are you kidding me? My little sister is a dispatcher. I'm like, oh. I'm like, at least learn your constitutional rights so that when people get, calling in, you don't got to send them to every freaking call.
Right.
Because I think all dispatchers should be versed in the law so that they know what is best to send out for police and what is best to handle any situation. If it's informing the caller that, hey, they're not doing anything wrong, then that's what needs to be done.
So the bottom line here is that when you say that, when you call for an ambulance, then an ambulance should show up.
Right.
If the ambulance chooses to up the ante and say, hey, I need police presence, then
right.
That's where the cops should come in minutes later, not cops first.
But that's why they're supposed to ask so many questions to find out what is the nature of a case, what kind of help do they really need. And yet police still go to every single call.
Hey, all I'm saying is if I wouldn't have called 911, if I wouldn't have done anything, I think the point is, or if I wasn't in the house, then they would have never arrived. And what I'm saying is everything would have been fine. By me being there,
I've only had to call 911 once in my lifetime. And that's because a psychopath was actually coming to my house to beat up his girlfriend who was at my house. Like, he flat out said he was going to kill her. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But I knew he was a psychopath.
Right. You know what's
going to happen. And I knew he was drunk. And he did. He pulled up with a hammer and tried to hit my old man twice in the head.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The time for Second Amendment rights.
Oh, I went after the guy. The whole fight or flight. Apparently my fighting kicked in because I'm not a fighter. And I don't remember going after the guy. And I apparently had grabbed my hiking stick and whacked him a good one across his head.
That's good. While he's focused on something else, you just whack him.
And then I took what I do remember is taking my hiking stick, since it was already in my hands, turning it sideways across my body and shoving him backwards, telling him to get the hell off my property. And then he said he was going to go get a handgun. That's when I called 911.
Good.
We didn't have any guns on our property. There was no way we could protect ourselves at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. We really need to.
And they didn't even pick him up at our house. They picked him up down the road, so we didn't even have to deal with the cops. They picked him up, and he was way over legal limit for drinking and driving.
Right. I don't know.
Marcus, I think I have the option for studded tires.
You know what? I checked into that one year on the Crown Vic. I said, do you guys have studs or studded tires?
On the bike we do. I don't think we can on the cars.
I think we should be able to, though, in South Dakota. I think we can use chains or...
We used to until we became the state known as our state sport is pretty much dodging the potholes. Your car can disappear into one easily.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Going through your state, we didn't go the Canada way, so we went around to Chicago. I don't know, but when we hit Michigan, next thing you know, I just started hitting pothole after pothole after pothole. Next thing
see, if you look at a map, I'm directly across from Chicago.
Across, you're on the other side of the.
Right. If you look at Chicago and you see Lake Michigan, I'm directly on the other side of the lake.
No shit.
It's literally a 2-hour drive to Chicago for me if I want.
Oh, that ain't bad. Damn.
And it's 2 hours to go to Detroit if I want. I'm the dead center.
So you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, really.
No, my town, yes, is backwoods, but Kalamazoo is not. And that's their midway point between the two.
Yeah. I don't think I went through Kalamazoo. I'm pretty sure I didn't. But I
Kalamazoo used to be one of the biggest cities in Michigan besides Detroit because it was on the railroad stop between Detroit and Chicago.
Yeah, I don't think we went to Detroit. We took we were right by I believe the ocean almost the entire way.
There's no ocean by us.
Well, all the way up the coast. Florida, those little towns we went through. So it was pretty cool.
Okay, if you're looking at your hand, like if you were to hold your hand up, right, and you're looking at it, if you come by Detroit, which is near the thumb, that's two different lakes that are connected together. But Lake Michigan, my side, which is the other side, is the biggest lake. You cannot see across it, so it feels like an ocean. They actually consider it a mini ocean because it has tides. It has rip currents.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But our side of the lake is nothing but sand.
Yeah, I know
it's Chicago side that's all rock.
Lake Erie.
So you're more over by the thumb side.
Yeah. I need to look at a map, but I'm directions.
See, in Michigan, we just hold up our hand and we point to a spot in our hand and we're like, we're here.
We're here.
We also do distance and time.
So
if we say, like when I say Chicago's 2 hours away, that's normal for Michigan. We do distance and time.
Are you able to go into Canada then, or no?
I can personally. My fiance cannot.
So I wanted to figure out how to get me and my brother into Canada, but he's got a felony and I got a shit ton.
He's got a felony too. And see, I want to go to Canada because my Indian tribe's reservation is still an open tribe for my family. So if I go up there, I become a member of the tribe.
We could have shaved 2 hours off of our trip if we would have taken the right side and went up the right side instead of going the Chicago way or whatever.
Oh, like if you went up into Canada?
Yep. We would have saved like 2 hours. Unless, of
depends
course...
Depends on if you went like into Chicago at the thumb, because that's our only point that you can enter into not Chicago, but Canada. Is that over by the thumb?
Yeah.
There's no other way to get into Canada from where we're at, because if you want to go to the Upper Peninsula, you have to go across Mackinac Island or Mackinac Bridge. I'm not going ever across Mackinac Bridge. Nope. I don't like bridges over water, and that's one long ass bridge.
Yeah, we did go over some long ass bridge, even on our side that we took. I don't know, dude, but I can tell you a lot of water, a lot of deer, a lot of wildlife, a lot of shit running across the road, a lot of hitting shit.
We are a major state for our woods and our wildlife and our water.
It's good fun until they run out in front of you. They ain't so fun with 30,000 pounds.
I get that nightly. We get deer running out in front of us nightly. Like I said, my town has not even a street light.
I don't mind deer, but not while you're driving, dude. But there is a cattle guard on the front of the truck, so I think it would have taken.
And actually, YouTube has my town, like our downtown, which is literally a couple of stores and a gas station and a little restaurant, on YouTube, where you can like watch the camera live 24 hours a day.
Right.
My son doesn't know that, so when he tries to go downtown, I can actually see him on the cameras.
The downtown cameras. I know we got one at Falls Park, but I think there's one downtown too. Downtown Sioux Falls. Honestly, the federal building or something. I think it's pretty close to there.
Well, like I sent it to Mommy of Many once so she could see what my town looks like. And I was like, I told you, we literally do not have a stoplight. The only thing that is going to stop traffic in my town is when the train comes through, because it crosses our main road.
Yeah, honestly, there was a lot of. There was a lot of water the way we went.
Well, there's water everywhere in my state. I mean,
yeah.
God damn, I hate that. Somebody's
that?
lighting off fireworks. It scared the shit out of me.
It sounded like a gunshot.
Yeah, they always do here. But no, anywhere you go in Michigan, it don't matter if you're just going around the bend of a freaking town, you're gonna see water because we have millions upon millions of little lakes and rivers.
Yeah,
And
I thought
actually,
it was.
Kalamazoo has a river that flows directly into Lake Michigan, and Lake Michigan can actually flow all the way down into the Mississippi.
And what's funny is there's a lot of stuff being sent out to Michigan. That's what's funny is there's a lot of loads that get delivered to you guys. So whether you guys have a lot of money or you're farming or John Deere's or
Farming,
what you
we
guys are
have a
in,
ton of farming.
right? Farming is like wow, it's good money out there. At least going out there, anyways.
And we've got a pretty good tax rate, and people love Michigan when they're here. A lot of people come here just for vacationing.
Right.
Although there's some areas that people talk about for vacationing, I wouldn't recommend going. Like Beaver Island, nope. Bunch of crazy people.
Got to be careful.
They're just really, they're a little itty bitty network of people stuck on an island all year long.
I wouldn't say that I minded New York, other than don't go in the big city. Like, I mean, Staten Island, even that, it was just cluster, like too many
I
people.
don't remember New York. I've been there when I was 3.
It's bad driving. They're on ramps, off ramps. It's weird, twisty. You don't know where the GPSs don't know where the ramps are. Tolls, forget about the tolls. They cost way too much. You'll get bogged down. If you don't have $200 in toll money, don't even bother. You're only trying to go 40 miles, but it's like stopping every 5 minutes to
Jesus. One of the other reasons why I don't like Kalamazoo. No, now, like, I went to New York when I was 3. My grandparents were born and raised in New York. They're from Schenectady. And my Indian tribe is actually from the Schenectady area. So there's a little town just north of Schenectady that is named after my family.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you go to Long Island, their main library branch, just above the service desk, is a tapestry that actually shows one of my ancestors.
Oh, really? Not Staten
He
Island.
helped. No, Long Island. He helped with the treaty between the Native Americans and the white settlers to buy Long Island, New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Seneca's a reservation too. I seen that sign
They do make
too.
it look powerful
I'm like,
nowadays, but
big
it's still not.
secret. Yeah, that's good stuff. But New York is a horse of a different color. But I didn't find people really rude there. I don't know. It.
I went there when I was 3. That's the last time I went there.
I wouldn't say go back, but.
Well, until my dad was born, my entire family on my dad's side has always been from New York since they settled.
Really?
And they settled with the ships, they actually came over on the ship called the Lion, Lyon, and that came over with all of the other first settlers of America.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
My grandmother has a copy of the page where our my 5th great grandfather John Carmen was on the ship, and his brother was the church representative, the priest or whatever for the colony. And then I guess his son was the first on their group of settlers to be born in America.
Hey, Big Tim Hill. Dallas Dave. Which is that guy from Texas.
I've learned a lot about Texas law in the last couple of years.
Texas sounds like it sucks. It's too big of a state and too far to drive across. I almost got a chance to see that too.
Oh, Jesus.
We got up to Michigan.
Well, hell, I thought like Michigan was bad for their back roads, twisting and turning and getting around until I went down to North Carolina.
Oh my gosh, Georgia's horrible. Horrid. I don't know if I've ever been. I mean, look, for me, that's a fun time. But for the kids, the family, I mean, well, you weren't there at the picnic, but when
I would have been if it was a week earlier.
When my kid got out of the car, she like started puking. And it started at the Waffle House right after she puked right outside the Waffle House. And I was starting to think, you've got to be kidding me. We get all the way to Tennessee and now she's getting sick. But the only thing we could equate it to is all those turns the night before, the car sickness, being in the car for 2 days straight. I mean,
Had they ever been on long trips before?
No, that's the longest they've ever been on.
This was my kids' first trip out of Michigan ever.
Yeah, exactly.
And their first day, they had spent 14 hours in a car.
Exactly. I'm surprised.
And our truck is an extended cab, but the back seat is not a normal size seat. It's miniaturized. Oh God, you scared the crap out of me.
Right, it's
small.
Aw.
He drive by you? Yeah, spark came out front. I think I should have a fire truck here.
Oh.
You want I got one more of the big firecrackers too also.
I'm being blinded by my own phone. Well, no, I'm trying to see you, and you keep wanting to be right in front of me when my phone is blinding me. All right, I think I'm going to end this because I think he wants to shoot off his BB gun a little bit and then head home.
All right, later. I got to go get my kids here once it gets dark. I can't believe it's already
Bye, guys.
Later. Peace.